performing EVA4. Mike Good will be on the robotic arm, and Mike Massimino will be the free floater. The crew will begin by accessing the fastener capture plate enclosure. This is where the fastener capture plate is launched up. And you can see the crew retrieving that here. There's a white block that's on the fastener capture plate. That is just foam that's used for the NBL purposes. Once that's retrieved, then the crew will begin the similar activities to what you've seen before. They have to start off by opening the aft shroud doors. And this time we're on the plus V2 side of the telescope. In similar fashion to the ACS task, the scientific instrument is on the right-hand side. And in order to access that work site, the crew will install a foot restraint. This time the work site is right in the middle of the scientific instrument. And once the foot restraint is set up, then Mike Massimino will ingress. And together the crew will begin the STS repair tasks. The first item that you'll see Bueno handing off to Massimino is the card removal tool. The clamp removal tool that I mentioned earlier. Once that's installed, he'll then install the handrail removal tools, one at the top, one at the bottom, and then he'll receive the rib caddy. And again, using these ribs, the retainer installation bits, he will be able to secure the washers separate from the fasteners. And then using the fastener extraction bit, he'll be able to remove each of the 4 fasteners that will be used for the installation location of the guide studs. This is the releasing of the handrail itself. And again, everything is captive. And once Massimino has removed it, he'll hand it off to Bueno, and Bueno will temporarily stow it. Once all of that is prepped and the guide studs are in, then Bueno will hand off the fastener capture plate to Massimino for installation. And then once the fastener capture plate is installed, Mass will begin to release the 111 fasteners that are covered up by the fastener capture plate. Again, the total of 117 includes the handrail and the clamp fasteners. That's driving the CG label cutter, and this is a photo of the flight unit. Again, you can see that everything is color-coded. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a blue bit that allows Massimino to release the blue fasteners. And then we have a red bit that allows him to release the red fasteners. And once all the fasteners are released, the cover plate will be removed, and then the crew will have access to the topmost electronics card that will be removed and changed out. You can see that in the picture now. You can see this is Massimino driving the elevator blocks. And then we have footage of him releasing the card locks as well. Once the old card is removed, it will be put immediately into its own enclosure, and then that same tool will be used to retrieve the new card and install it back into the work site in the same place that the old one came from. Once the new card is installed, the crew will work together to retrieve the new replacement cover. And this will be showing you the launch location of that. It's on the ASIP lid. That lever that you just saw flip over is the launch lock for the cover. And as you can see, there are two handles on either side, and there is actually some locking pins at the top and bottom. Since this piece of hardware is flying up, Goddard was very nice and made this nice and EVA friendly. So once the card has been changed out, the installation of the cover is fairly straightforward. Again, two handles and two locking pins. Once that's complete, Massimino will egress the aft shroud. They'll remove together the foot restraint, and then the crew will close the aft shroud doors. The final task at the end of the STS day is the Noble installation, which is, again, the new outer blanket layer. Again, these are very large cookie sheets, and their purpose is to have the telescope regain some of the thermal capability within some of the bays that has been lost due to some of the degradation of the MLI over those bays. This is the the launch location of these, and again, you can see there are very large cookie sheets. This is Noble 8, which will be installed on this day, and that will happen, of course, onto the Bay 8. Nobles 8 and 5 are slightly different than previous missions, and they have a new radiator surface on there. In order to fully install the Noble, the crew will have to flip open a radiator, an additional external radiator. They will remove a film, and then they will use a roller to adhere the pressure-sensitive adhesive in order to make very good contact with the bay door itself. And you saw the crew removing the previous degraded MLI, and now they'll install the new Noble over that same location, and they install using 4 latches, one at each corner. At this point, the tasks for EVA4 will be complete. Once again, the crew will ingress the airlock, clean up the payload bay, and that'll be the end of EVA4. One additional item that I didn't mention earlier, as I was talking through the Noble task, is this roller. Again, it's just as the name states, it's a roller. The crew will use this and just roll to apply even pressure across the surface of the additional radiator on the Noble surface. At this point, we've come to the last EVA, EVA5. Again, the main objectives of this EVA are the change out of the FGS, the Fine Guidance Sensor, the completion of the ACS task, and then the installation of the Noble 5 in a similar fashion to Noble 8. So if I could please have the video for EVA5. John and Drew will be performing the final EVA. This time John will be on the robotic arm, and his first work site will be the retrieval of a handhold. The same handhold was used during the first EVA to mass handle and manipulate the old wide field instrument, and it will now be used to remove the old FGS instrument. Once it's retrieved, he's going to temporarily stow it on the robotic arm. And then Megan will take him over to the telescope, and along with Drew, they will open up the doors that will give access to the Fine Guidance Sensor. The crew will then demate a total of 9 connectors from the instrument, install the new handhold, and then they will release a single active and 3 passive latches. One thing to note is the clearances in this video between the scientific instrument and the top edges of the telescope. The crew will have about a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch on either side during the insertion and removal of these instruments. The choreography at this point is very similar to the other scientific instruments. The crew will remove the old item, and then they will temporarily stow it onto the aft fixture, which you've seen used on EVAs 1 and 3 as well. Then the crew will go over to the launch location of the new FGS. They will open this up, and then they will retrieve the new FGS. And